What truly vanishes when the lights go out? When the ice swallows everything and official reports become the only truth? When the Cold War's nuclear sword of Damocles hung heaviest? The impossible happened. A B-52, carrying 4 thermonuclear bombs, crashed onto the frozen wastes of Greenland near Thule Air Base. The official story is that 3 were recovered. The 4th, presumed destroyed. But the whispers, the declassified documents, they paint a far colder, darker canvas.
On January 21, 1968, a U.S. Air Force B-52G Stratofortress, call sign Heavy 6, was executing a Chrome Dome mission, a continuous airborne alert to deter Soviet attack. A cabin fire erupted. The crew ejected, but the aircraft, laden with 4 B-28Fi thermonuclear bombs, impacted the sea ice in what's known as Bylot Sound, approximately 7 miles west of Thule Air Base. The subsequent fire, fueled by jet fuel and high explosive components of the bombs, rapidly consumed the wreckage, spreading radioactive material across a significant area of the ice.
Within hours, a massive, top-secret recovery operation dubbed Project Crested Ice was underway. Imagine that, the immediate aftermath of a nuclear bomber crash, not just a fire, but what else was at stake? The world wasn't told about these Chrome Dome missions, about the constant aerial ballet of doom. And suddenly, 4 of those dooms are scattered across Arctic ice. They weren't just looking for wreckage, were they?
The primary objective was the immediate recovery of the nuclear weapons. These were thermonuclear devices containing significant quantities of plutonium and highly enriched uranium. The impact and subsequent fire led to the conventional high explosive triggers detonating on at least 3 of the bombs, scattering radioactive material and bomb components across the ice. The threat was twofold: nuclear contamination and, critically, the potential recovery of sensitive materials by unauthorized parties. The urgency was absolute, operating under extreme Arctic conditions, with temperatures plummeting to 60 degrees Fahrenheit.
So, the mission was clear. Find everything, account for every gram of fissile material. But that's where the official narrative begins to splinter, isn't it? Because 3 bombs, or at least their remnants, were found. And the 4th? That's the ghost in the ice.
Official reports from the U.S. and Danish governments state that remnants of 3 B-28Fi bombs were recovered. Extensive debris, including uranium and plutonium contamination, was located. The hotspots were identified and processed. However, for the 4th bomb, the official determination was that it had been destroyed or lost in the impact and subsequent fire, its components irretrievably dispersed or sunk into the seabed. The operational term used was disintegrated. This distinction is critical.
Disintegrated. That's a conveniently vague word, isn't it? It suggests a total, unrecoverable loss. But what evidence constitutes disintegrated when you're talking about a weapon of such immense strategic value? They found plutonium particles? Yes, spread across miles. But finding particles isn't the same as confirming complete destruction of a specific device. Where was the signature? The specific remnants that would prove it was truly gone, rather than simply missing.
Precise identification of a destroyed nuclear weapon requires locating specific components, not merely radioactive dust. The plutonium pit, the fissile core, or key secondary components would exhibit characteristic signatures. While plutonium contamination was widespread, a specific physics package or identifiable major structural elements of the 4th bomb were not officially located. The search relied heavily on submersible vehicles, including the Kerr V3, and extensive dredging. The difficulty was compounded by the debris having melted through the ice, sinking into the ocean below, where it was then encased in refrozen ice and sediment.
And this is where the ice truly starts to crack, revealing something far more unsettling than just melted debris. Because while the official reports close the book, the declassified files years later tell a story of profound uncertainty, of high-stakes political maneuvering, and a truth that was, perhaps, too inconvenient to acknowledge.
Declassified documents, particularly those released in the 1990s and early 2000s, reveal significant inconsistencies. Internal U.S. Air Force and Department of Defense memos frequently express doubt regarding the complete recovery or confirmed destruction of all 4 weapons. One document from a 1968 Scientific Advisory Board, for example, discusses the recovery as 3 and a fraction devices, indicating a recognized shortfall. Another, a 1968 report by the Atomic Energy Commission, mentions one secondary component being unaccounted for. Perhaps most telling is a 1968 memo from General Raymond S. Sleeper, then commander of the U.S. Air Force Weapons Laboratory, expressing persistent difficulty in accepting the official pronouncements regarding the fate of the 4th weapon. He specifically noted the absence of what he termed hard evidence of its complete destruction or the recovery of its critical components. This isn't speculation. This is high-level military leadership internally, casting doubt.
It's not just an omission then, it's a direct contradiction from someone who would absolutely know the truth. The official line was, "Trust us." But behind closed doors, the people responsible were saying, "We don't have all the pieces." So, what happened in the intervening decades? Did this doubt just evaporate? Or was it meticulously papered over, layer by layer, until the convenient narrative was all that remained?
The Danish government, under intense pressure from public outcry and environmental concerns, was given assurances by the U.S. that all nuclear material had been recovered. This political imperative became a driving force behind the sustained official position. However, within the recovery teams and among intelligence analysts, a different consensus emerged. Rumors circulated for decades, alleged testimonies from divers on Project Crested Ice who claimed to have seen a distinct large object, metallic and intact, which was later removed and never accounted for in official inventories. There were also whispers of photographic analysis from the recovery zone, specifically sonar and early undersea imaging, that showed an anomalous signature. An object of significant size and density, not consistent with fragmented debris, in an area where the 4th bomb was believed to have impacted. These images, if they exist, have never been officially released or reconciled with the disintegrated narrative. The persistence of these anecdotal accounts, from individuals involved in the operation, often resurfaced in private conversations and unverified reports long after the official closure of the incident. The sheer scale of the cleanup operation, which involved removing over 200,000 cubic feet of contaminated ice and debris, provided ample opportunity for selective accounting.
So, we're left with the chilling implication that somewhere, under miles of Arctic ice, or perhaps quietly spirited away and never publicly declared, a piece of that apocalyptic puzzle remains. A relic of the Cold War, a nuclear ghost. The narrative of complete recovery serves a purpose. It maintains control, prevents panic, and avoids difficult questions about nuclear safety and the sheer destructive power we flirt with. But at what cost to the truth?
The legacy of the Thule crash is not merely one of environmental contamination, but of a persistent question mark over nuclear accountability. The U.S. has a documented history of broken arrow incidents where nuclear weapons were lost and never recovered. Examples such as the 1965 Philippine C-A4E Skyhawk incident or the 1968 USS Scorpion submarine loss with 2 nuclear torpedoes. Thule is unique due to the recovery effort scale and the explicit official claim of comprehensive cleanup. Yet, the discrepancies in declassified internal memos, coupled with persistent unofficial accounts, create a void where definitive proof should exist for the fourth weapon. The extreme environment, the political pressures of the Cold War, and the inherent secrecy surrounding nuclear programs all coalesce to create a scenario where ambiguity was not just tolerated, but perhaps strategically maintained. The ice sheet near Thule remains a vast, silent witness, a frozen vault for secrets that may never fully thaw.
And that's the true horror, isn't it? Not just the bomb, or what it represents, but the chilling realization that we are often told what is convenient, not what is true. That the official record, pristine and closed, might hide something far heavier than radioactive debris. Because if a nuclear bomb can vanish, leaving only a convenient story in its wake, what else are we simply accepting? What else remains silent and deadly beneath the surface?